Hey you, it's CovertGoBlue, and today we're going to talk about Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, because the bundle has appeared in the store. There it is, in all of its bundly glory. You see Archangel Avacyn there on the front of the booster pack, you see Bruna, and you see Gisela hanging out, you see the card sleeve, you see some tokens. But for those of you new to Magic the Gathering, and by new I mean like within the last how many years? When did this come out? I barely even remember. I should have done a full deep dive on the release date of the set or something like that. But basically, if you're new to Shadows over Innistrad, what is it and what can you expect, and what are some of the sweet cards that are going on? Well, Shadows over Innistrad is a remastered set. They've used to do these really regularly. It's been a while since the last one, which was Kaladesh Remastered, and Magic sets used to come out in blocks. Shadows over Innistrad was the first set in the second block of Innistrad. Original Innistrad, I believe, was just called Innistrad, and then they came back to Innistrad for the first time that we had returned to the plane, and it's called Shadows over Innistrad. That was the return set, and then in the block there are two sets. Are you still with me? The second set was Eldritch Moon. So first, Shadows over Innistrad. Second, Eldritch Moon. Going completely off the cuff here with absolutely no script in front of me, what I remember most about these sets is that it was part of this ongoing plot where the big bads of the time were the Eldrazi. The set right before this was Oath of the Gatewatch, which had the Gatewatch Planeswalker buddies all fighting Eldrazi on Zendikar, and then something weird starts happening on Innistrad that may or may not also be very Eldrazi related. Spoilers, yes it is. It's Eldrazi related. So this is still Gatewatch versus Eldrazi time frame for Magic the Gathering in the story lore, and there's a bunch of sweet cards in this set that I really enjoyed in their time in Standard. I watched a lot of Standard, and I played a lot of Magic duels while these cards were legal. I also started recollecting a few Standard cards, and I played in a few events, but for the most part I played on Magic duels. So a lot of these cards have a place in my heart because of Magic duels, and that's of course where I got my content start, for those of you who know your CovertGo lore. Anyway, I'm just going to show off some of the cards I'm most excited about that are probably coming. Some of these are confirmed, some are not. I'll try to point out as we go. Card number one that I'm very excited to play with again, it's on the booster pack, it better be in there, is Archangel Avacyn. This is 3 white for a legendary creature, Angel, 4/4 flash, flying, vigilance, all those abilities. And when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. When a non-angel creature you control dies, transform Avacyn at the beginning of the next upkeep. Transforms into Avacyn the Purifier. 6/5, she gets hangry. 6/5 flying. When it transforms, 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. Oh my goodness. This is a sick transformation card. Very well designed, and it created all kinds of interesting lines of gameplay in Standard. For those wondering about these cards, they will be legal in Historic, they will be legal in Explorer, and for me, most importantly, legal in Historic Brawl. And if you're wondering about Avacyn the Purifier's color identity, this is a flip red-white card. It has a red-white color identity. If it is your commander, your deck can be red and white. If you are playing a color combination like Jeskai or Naya that has red and white in it, Avacyn can be in your deck. However, you cannot play her in a mono-white Historic Brawl deck. Makes sense, unless of course she's your commander and you just choose not to play red cards. One of my favorite decks, I think I made a worst possible commander show with it. One of my favorite early commander decks was Archangel Avacyn, just because it's a weird card with a lot of play and it opens up a lot of lines of play. So I look forward to having this on Magic Arena for the first time. Next card I expect to see is Westvale Abbey. This is one of my favorite utility lands of all time. The hostile, it's got nothing on Westvale Abbey. This card is not confirmed, but I believe it will be in the set. It taps for a colorless. You can also 5 and tap it to pay a life to make a 1/1 white and black human cleric token. That rate is so outdated now, it's so bad. But what you'd play it for is the 5 tap, sacrifice 5 creatures. Transform it into Ormondal, the Profane Prince, a 9/7 flying lifelink, indestructible haste. This card is a 10 out of 10 flavor that you just kind of make all these little clerics down at the Abbey, but when you get enough of them together, the Abbey blows up and out comes a demon, and the demon just swings right over to gain you a huge life swing. It's indestructible, so a lot of decks just couldn't kill this. So I'm going to enjoy playing this in Yawgmoth and any kind of aristocrat, a Yara like kind of deck. This card, I believe, goes right into those. Then we've got Eldric Evolution, 1 green for a sorcery. When you cast it, you also have to sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, where X is 2, plus the sacrificed creature's converted cost. Put it onto the battlefield. It's like a one-shot birthing pod effect, but you can scale up twice. It is very good in decks trying to assemble very specific creature combinations, and there are going to be plenty of creature decks that want this. Also, blink decks, enter the battlefield decks, Yarick, a good example, Lagrella, like places where you want to sacrifice this and then sacrifice some creature and go get some other sweet toolbox enter the battlefield effect out of your library. Or any deck that has like a secret commander. If I have that card, my deck really takes off. If this card can help you fetch it, it will go in that deck. Then we've got Ishkana, Graf Widow. This is a legendary spider, one of my favorite cards of the era by far. This is a 3/5 mythic reach with Delirium. When it enters the battlefield, if there are 4 or more types among cards in your graveyard, put 3 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield. So a 3/5 and 3 baby spiders when you do the Delirium thing, which was a big part of this format. And then there's a 6 and a black for target opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. Reading this now, you're like, I don't even know if that's good. Are you actually gonna build a deck around this? Look, in its time, this card was a freaking stop sign. It almost single-handedly pushed aggro out of the format, so of course I love it. So hopefully we get to do something fun with Ishkana. Elder Deep Fiend is another super sweet card. This has flash and emerge a key part of the format. You may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by that creature's converted cost. So sacrifice a 6 mana creature and you only have to pay 2 blue for the Elder Deep Fiend. On its own, it's 8 mana. You can do it in response to removal spells pointed at the creature, which is sweet. So 5/6. When it enters the battlefield, or when you cast it actually, tap up to 4 permanents. This really could lock opponents completely out of a turn if you find a way to kind of cast it off a 3 or 4 mana card, which is a lot better than it sounds. And it's kind of a time walk effect that also leaves a body on the field. It's very powerful. So I expect this in decks that want to stall out the game, like Tatiova and Tamio, if they have a few early creatures to play. And I also expect it in just value decks that play cards like Elvish Rejuvenator, like 3 mana, Solemn Simulacrum. This card will fit right into those as well. Then we've got this baby, Emrakul, the Promised End. This is not confirmed for the set. This is, the theory is that this card is the reason it took so long for us to get this set. It is, well, it's 13 mana. It costs 1 less for each card type in your graveyard. It's 13/13, and when you cast this spell, you gain control of target opponent until that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an additional turn as flying, trample, and protection from instance. And you had all that and room for flavor text back in the day. My god, nowadays they'd slap like 5 more lines of text on it just to make sure it was good. Anyway, this card is an absolute house, and it means that they had to figure out how to code you taking control of the opponent's turn. This is not confirmed in the set right now. It is a big lingering question mark because it is legal in these formats. It is a part of these formats. It gets played sometimes in these formats. Will it exist on Arena? It didn't come to Magic Duels. And before you roll your eyes and say, well, that's Magic Duels, Magic Arena, superior technology. Magic Duels had 2v2 two-headed giant online. It had 4-player plane chase. Magic Duels was closer to Commander than Magic Arena has ever been. But they looked at Emrakul and said, nope. So will this make it? I don't know. It's a big question mark. Also confirmed by being in the pre-order bundle, Brizella, the voice of Nightmares. You smash together the Gisela and the Bruna, and you get a flying first strike, vigilance, lifelink 9/10, and your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less, which is really annoying. It's an Eldrazi Angel, and it's 2 mythics that slam together. They're hanging like here's Bruna, the Fading Light. Here's a Gisela. You can read those cards here in the store, but making a Bruzella is very exciting, and maybe we will try to do something like that in Historic Brawl, as there's plenty of ways to search up legendary cards in mono white, which both of these are. So yeah, this is a little peek, just a little taste, a little tidbit of Shadows over Innistrad cards you might want to check out and put right into your Historic Brawl format. According to my Magic Arena client, this will release on March 21st. So yay for cards, yay for doing cool stuff with cards. It's going to be fun. And yeah, I'll see you in Innistrad. More remastered sets. I love these nostalgia trips. I love getting to play them in Historic Brawl. I love having them on my digital client, Magic the Gathering Arena. Excited for it. So if it moves, you go craft some cards and maybe buy some packs. You can even draft, I think. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. You're cool.